Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to talk about organisations and why I feel that joining one gives innumerable benefits to those of us who play Star Citizen. If, like me, you join Star Citizen playing as a solo player, you may have not had experience of a gaming community before, certainly like I hadn't. And going from sort of transitioning from that solo play to being part of a group is something that doesn't necessarily come easy to a lot of people. Certainly if you've got no friends already playing or anything like that. So sometimes there's a little bit of a hurdle to overcome. And what I aim to do in this video is to outline some of the benefits of joining an organisation. Also to talk about what the signs are of a good organisation, what makes up a good organisation, and some of the mechanics you can expect from an effectively, an organisation working effectively. So let's get started. So why join an org? First and foremost, I think most people will be on the same page of this, is really to meet like-minded players. You may think that you're on your own with your love of the game, and one of the things I can certainly say is you're not. There are plenty of people out there who are as passionate, perhaps even more so, about this project. So meeting like-minded people is perhaps one of the biggest benefits of joining an org. It also brings meaning to play sessions. No longer will you doing single-handed trade runs or combat missions, which in themselves are great fun, but you start to add interaction with those like-minded players, and something magical seems to happen. It seems the game seems to open up and become much more than just a game. It becomes a community. And one of the things you realise particularly, or I've realised with Star Citizen, is that this is such a wide-scoping game that being part of a bigger community is what it's all about. But that's not to say people can't have fun playing solo, and if that's your cup of tea then great, but don't discount joining an organisation. So what else can we expect why would we join an organisation? Well, obviously we're playing as a group, but to be part of something bigger, and to be able to achieve things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to achieve on your own is another good reason to join. And of course, one of the biggest things is to make friends and have a degree of influence. You may have a certain view of Star Citizen, or a way you would like to play the game, and want to sort of steer others in the same direction and have people follow you, or you want to work with other people to achieve common goals. Well, that's another really good reason to join an org. So what makes up a good organisation? Now I like to stress this is my opinion. I've been a member of a couple of organisations, currently a member of the British Are Coming, and this video is certainly by no means just a pitch about our organisation, although of course I think it's a fantastic organisation to be part of. But any org really, you should be looking for certain things, certain signs that it's working well and you're going to get some sort of fulfilment from joining it. So first, and perhaps one of the most important parts of being part of an organisation, is that there's an active player base. And that is not necessarily linked to the size of it as well. You can have a small organisation of 10 members, but if they're all active and there's always somebody on to play with, it makes your play sessions a lot more meaningful. You can join, people are about, who can jump in with you and play, go on missions, mine, that sort of thing. So an active player base, it's often been said that you'd rather have fewer players who are active than hundreds or even thousands of players who aren't active. And that's not to say that you are expected to dedicate time to Star Citizen or a member of an org. This is a game after all, and real life commitments come first. But it's quite comforting to know that when you log on to your play session, there's somebody there to game with, and that's something you tend to get with a good org. There is always somebody around, people there to help you and make you feel at home. And coming on to that, another sign is when you join an org is that it's instantly welcoming. You haven't got any barriers to joining. And this is something we've talked about before, particularly in our organisation, is how we encourage new members to join us and how do we make them feel valued. Well, an example of that is in our organisation. We've had a welcome pack was recently made, and that's something we can provide to people just to give them a little bit of an insight into the organisation so they don't arrive cold turkey. It's often a bar to joining an org is that worrying about speaking to someone or interacting with somebody else, and not wanting to sound silly and those sort of things. Well, a welcome pack's a really good way to show what's going on, give a bit of information before you join or as you're joining, and it sort of, I suppose, pulls back the curtains a little bit. So instantly welcoming, also understanding of real life commitments. The last thing I ever wanted to do was join an org that demanded playtime of me or demanded I do certain things in a certain way. Don't get me wrong, orgs have codes of conduct and good ones do. But the last thing in this environment is you want to have a restrictive org that dictates to you when you should be on and what you should be doing, and that doesn't keep the game fun, and that's certainly not the vision of Star Citizen that I want to be part of. So watch out for that. You want an organisation that a sign of good org is one that rewards the activity that you do put in. So that can be rewarding through rank structure, it can be rewarding through publishing details about you, recognition that you've done a good job at something, and that's real key, is to rewarding the time that people do put into it if they want to help develop it. And quite rightly, you might have people who spend a lot of time really dedicated to it and they go up in rank, but over time they might have real life commitments might come in the way, and then they might go down a few ranks to sort of reflect the time they've spent or the effort they've put in. Now, there's nothing wrong with that as long as everybody understands that you don't own a position or occupy a position just because you made it there. I think what's important is that ranks and structures like that are reflective of the effort that people are putting in. They're not. Respect is earned and effort is rewarded. The last thing you want is somebody in a position of control or authority in an organisation that is effectively operating as a dictatorship. Well, that doesn't make anyone feel like they're worth anything. So again, rewarding the activity, the effort that you put in is key to a good org. One of the really good things about our organisation and many others is the ability it's not just the ability, it's the willingness to welcome new players and allow them to really carve their own way throughout the org, and that could be creating events, doing the things that they want to do, and encouraging them to do so, to flourish and be part of that something bigger. So encouragement, freedom to do the things that you want to do within reason, and also having an approachable management. So if you've got an idea and you're really excited about it, going to somebody who's in control of the org or the management team, the leaders, whatever you want to call them, you should expect them to listen and value your input and help you to achieve the things that you want to achieve. So good leaders are essential in an org, and a sign of a good org. Usually these are self-deprecating people. These are people who sometimes are reluctantly in that position because actually they've got the skill set and they're good people. They're willing to change their mind when people approach them. There's a very democratic process to how management interact with its members, and those are the sort of leaders you're looking for, the people that will listen, who are happy to change their mind on stuff, are respectful and are welcoming and encouraging. So what else have we got? I suppose perhaps one of the last things to talk about with the sign of a good org is that it's got a clear vision. It's got a vision to that could be as simple as expanding its membership. It could be it's got a purpose to be the biggest mining corporation in Star Citizen, or to have a small dedicated player base, and that's based on, you know, a role play type scenario or a player versus player scenario. As long as it's got a vision, because there's nothing worse than joining an organisation that hasn't got an idea of what it wants to be, and I think that is a very important piece of the puzzle. So mechanics and workings of an org. What can we expect? Well, if you join an organisation, you can obviously expect that it's got a structure, preferably democratic one, where there is separate ranks, etc., and there is a place for literally all player types. Anything you want to do should fit into the structure of that organisation, whether it's mining, whether it's trading, whether it's salvage, whether it's exploration, whether it's military combat, whether it's just doing tours of the verse, etc. All that should be accounted for in the structure of the org. You should be able to find a place where you want to go. We also have a front of house team in The British Are Coming, and that is a administrative team of people who's come to the organisation wanting to put out content, wanting to publish it. They might have a particular skill set involved in graphic design or writing or editing videos, that sort of thing. Well, there should be a place for those people too, because those are they're essential parts of an organisation to get the organisation to the stage where it can put out videos, it can show people what it's about, and generally advertise that it's a good place to come. So what else? An event program is pretty good. We in TBAC have a regular events that we run. They could be like a military Monday, or it could be a tour of the verse on the last Friday of the month, or it can be an industrial Wednesday op. You've got people within the org that are regularly organising events, and events are really key to keeping your players active and interested. And it can be something quite simple. It could be a group of mining ships going to, I don't know, Lawville, and having a bit of a mine off to see who can make us, you know, the most UEC in a certain amount of time. Just gives that little bit of purpose, and they're great fun. They really are, and it really brings people together in the org. Gives them something to do, and also makes them feel like they're part of a team. And it also makes those of us who have got perhaps more ships than pilots, it gives us a reason to bring our ships out, and then people can, you know, you don't just have to be a pilot, that you could be in a turret, you could be on a mining laser, that sort of thing. It gives that extra feel of being part of something a bit bigger and rewarding. The working together as a team is extremely rewarding, as I've said before. What else have we got for a good organisation? Well, I suppose the mechanic of having, obviously we talked about front of house, but of having a team of people that go out and join sort of get involved with other organisations and spread the word and form good relationships and alliance with other organisations. That's really important for an org survival. I've been part of an organisation before that didn't do that. It was really very isolated, and it became quite insular, and then it eventually dissolved. So having that sort of expanding idea, and that's almost like a diplomatic front where you're trying to find other organisations to interact with and work with, that makes a very good org, and is a real good mechanic or working of an organisation. Obviously, perhaps one of the biggest benefits of being part of an org is the fact that you feel part of a family. Now, the mechanics of the org, certainly the workings of the org, should allow for that. They should make you feel like you occupy an important position, and anything you wish to contribute is gratefully received, and you want to feel valued. The last thing you want to be doing is putting hours and hours into Star Citizen and not getting anything, feeling no reward, getting nothing back for it, and no real enjoyment. So feeling part of a family is key to the success and the operation of an org. And I suppose the only other thing really to mention is about the active moderation. So you as a new member to an organisation should expect to be able to approach your management, talk to them about any issues that you have. If you're receiving any difficulties or you're encountering difficulties, with other players, that sort of thing, you should be able to talk out about it and be listened to, and expect something, not just to be pushed to one side. Expect the issue that you raise to be given some thought and some sort of action. So that's very important. Again, it makes you feel it helps you overcome that newcomer feeling as well, of not being able to talk to someone because you feel you're new, so you should just accept it, or you should accept how perhaps if you're being treated if it was a particularly bad organisation or something like that. So key to a successful organisation is the ability to listen to complaints, deal with them, and actively moderate. And that's not to say censor, it's more that just to deal with any issues of discrimination, that sort of thing. Because organisations should be welcome to everyone. Anyone should be able to join who has a love of the game and play a meaningful part of a family that exists within the verse. Anyway, so that's a few of my tips and points. You may agree with them, you may not, and by all means mention in the comments if you think I'm off-piste on anything, or you think there's something else to add about what makes a good organisation, what you should be looking for. But without a doubt, I would say being part of an organisation is probably the best thing that happened to me with Star Citizen, and I would encourage anybody who's toying with the idea of moving from that solo play to group play to give it a try. And if you're looking for an organisation, by all means come and check us out. TBAC or the British are coming, and there'll be links in the description, or by all means just get in contact with me, and if you've got any concerns or questions about the org, then hopefully I'll be able to answer them for you. Anyway, that's it for now, and happy hunting, and I do hope to see you in the verse sometime soon. Bye-bye.